friends, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking with my friend Nicolette from Nicolette's Inspirations, and she's going to be sharing some information about her channel and what it's about and why you might be interested. So what made you want a YouTube channel?
For me, I actually started it a couple years ago. I was in the life coaching business, so to speak, and I wanted to start sharing little things that I had learned doing life coaching. And that, like I said, that was a couple years ago, and I changed the name to, after my mom passed, I changed it to Nicolette's Inspirations. Mostly because I wanted to share more of things that inspire me and hope to encourage other people to find what inspires them in their life.
I've watched a couple of the videos and I was really impressed, especially with the tulip bulb comparison. That was fascinating. You have to go and watch, make sure and go and check out her channel, especially that video. It was just really, I was a florist and I didn't even know that. That was just amazing.
Thank you. So, and you can watch the video on Nicolette's Inspirations. But basically, I grew up, my family grew tulips. Like, we moved here from the Netherlands. We're kind of like the typical Dutch family that moved to America to grow flowers, or tulips mainly. And we branched out from there. But tulips has been our main crop that we cultivated. And it's still my favorite flower because they're just, I don't know, I love them because they are a standalone flower. They don't really need anything else. You can put 10 tulips in a vase and they look amazing. They just don't need anything else. When they are in bulb stage, they're already know what they're going to be. So that's what the video is about that you're talking about. And I just kind of compare everything that I kind of view a lot on how I grew up in the flower world. I just believe that there's a lot of energy in flowers and a lot of positivity and healing with flowers, and I'd like to share that as much as I can.
Because Nicolette and I have a tiny variance in our beliefs, I think. But so I just wanted to put that disclaimer out there for anybody who's like full-on Pentecostal like me. So what exactly, how are you viewing your channel as far as the inspiration that you're sharing?
I do believe in in God and the higher power. I refer to it in many different ways, partially because of how I grew up, but also because I believe a lot of people believe very different things. But most people believe in a higher source. And you know, referring to it as God is to me, that's more, works for me more. But as far as like, I use universe or divine source, I think everybody in life goes through a lot of struggle, and I believe that that's kind of the human experience. I believe that if you don't go through that struggle, you're not going to grow. You're not going to appreciate, have gratitude for things, because growth can be very painful, can be very dark, can be very difficult, but there's the other side to that. When you go through that, there's this appreciation for life. And I truly believe, I mean, I've gone through difficult things. Everybody has. But I'm just saying, the reason why I started this to begin with is I want to reach out to people that could be experiencing similar things that I've gone through. Difficult things, divorce, grief from losing my parent, you know, other things. I mean, you know, I realized just recently that moving from the Netherlands at 7 years old, I didn't realize how much that affected me until very recently. There was a lot of grief that I didn't really know that I was experiencing until recent. And you know, and I feel like a lot of people go through that, but they don't necessarily have outlets, or they don't know how to grow. Now, I was lucky enough, I don't know if you call it lucky, I had some health issues in my late 20s, and because of that I went on a search. And so I tried everything. I tried Western medicine. I tried chiropractic. I tried acupuncture. My mom was an acupuncturist.
Oh, I didn't know that.
She was a healer. She was a herbalist. And so I ended up going to hypnotherapy. There's a lot of different things I tried. And because of that, I learned how to really dig deep and find, figure out what was going on. And you have to think, most people, we grow up with certain beliefs and certain societal beliefs, growing up with parents that, have certain beliefs. And we learn these things, and some of them, while maybe good, others maybe not so good.
Yeah.
And because you're living your life according to that, you kind of have to reprogram.
Yeah. Break those cycles.
Exactly.
Recognizing it.
Exactly. And that's a whole process. It doesn't just happen overnight.
Yeah.
I've been working on certain issues for 20 years.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen overnight. I do, as far as the inspirations page, the goal is to let people know that no matter where you're at in your life, no matter where you are perfect just right now where you're at.
Yeah.
And whether that's in a dark place or not, or in a happy place.
Yeah.
Now, what's interesting is when you're in a happy place, you don't analyze. You don't sit there and think, why
That's
am I
true.
happy? Why am I, you don't do that at all.
Yeah.
But when you're going through difficult stuff, you start to dig deep and analyze and figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
Or sometimes you don't. Sometimes you get very stuck.
Yeah. And feel like you're the only one that's ever gone through that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, for me, I have been known to get stuck and go down the rabbit hole. And I think when you're talking about growing in life, when you get stuck, you start causing distractions for yourself, and you're not necessarily, not that you're not growing, because you're still learning as you go, but a lot of people tend to get stuck and then they don't decide or make choices for themselves to keep pushing and to keep growing.
Yeah.
Push through, there's light on the other side.
Yeah.
We are pushing up towards the light.
Yeah.
Like the tulip
Like
bulb,
the tulip
right?
bulb. Yeah, that was beautiful.
Thank you. And we are meant to, and I truly believe that, God sees us in a perfect light. And interestingly enough, most people look for outside validation. They don't see that perfectness in themselves, and they don't live like that. They don't look at themselves in the mirror and say, wow, look at me, I am perfect just right now.
Yeah.
They find something to be critical about. And I do this to myself all the time. I'm not saying that I don't, but I'm just trying to communicate, or I don't know what the word is, inspire people that you are perfect right now.
I know what you're saying with being good enough. So that's how I kind of view what you're saying, is we're good enough now. I don't know if I would say we're perfect, because I would think with the blood of Jesus,
Right.
But yeah, recognizing that you're good enough. I think a lot of people struggle with that.
Absolutely.
And pointing it out and bringing it to people's attention is the only way for them to recognize it. I think that's great.
It was interesting because I went through the coaching certification program, and it was 3 weekends where you get together with, all these other people. There's probably 20 people in the class. And they did this exercise where they kind of drilled down to your biggest insecurity.
Oh.
And most of them that, because they would have you walk around with this stamp on your forehead. It was very vulnerable and personal.
Wow.
Most of them were not good enough.
Yeah.
Most of them were that.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting, most people have that feeling of, I'm not good enough.
Yeah. They feel like the outsider in the crowd.
Right.
Like everybody else fits in, but I'm the outsider.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, I just feel like there's so many people looking for outside worthiness. Like they need to get it from elsewhere. And what I've learned for myself is the more that I look in the mirror and say, just compliment myself with something.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is. it makes me feel better in that moment. And when you do that on a regular basis, or you just smile to another person, you know, that is like the water in the, you know, the drop effect where the water just kind of trickles out. It spreads.
The seed planting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just find that it's the more you are loving yourself.
Oh my God! Is he still there? Really?
The bee's loving us. I talk a lot about awareness. Just being aware. We have over 6,000 thoughts a day. Just being aware of, instead of like analyzing those thoughts or getting kind of buried in those, whatever thought that is, and I'm famous for doing that myself. But just being aware of it from maybe a different perspective, instead of being in that and feeling the emotion of that thought, step outside of it and just be aware of it. Like kind of like a wave coming in and out where you're noticing it, but you're not tied to it. That in itself.
Not being emotionally attached to it.
Right.
Okay.
That can
not
really,
claiming it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That can really change your perspective on it, because then you're not sitting there thinking, well, or agreeing with the thought, right?
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, that is like, I don't know what kind of thing that I would say to myself, like, I don't know, I have a wrinkle on my forehead and like, gosh, that's like, it's getting worse and worse. Yeah. And then when you're sitting there like agreeing with it, instead of being like, that's an interesting thought.
Yeah. Which is biblical. And we've talked about that before, because the Bible says to take every thought captive and to basically focus on the positive and not the negative.
Right.
Think on these things which are pure and lovely and good, and not focus on those ugly things that bring us down.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So what got you into that? What made you start searching for those things?
So I did have that health issue, and it was basically, I haven't really shared it on video yet, and I'm going to make a video about that specifically.
So be on the watch for that.
Yes, and that is, I found my health issue, what was such a difficult thing for me to go through, ended up being my greatest gift. And it, you know, at the time I didn't feel that way, but now looking back, it ended up being my greatest gift, because it got me way more in touch with not just myself, but observing and compassion and being aware of others.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I was just talking about.
I do that all the time.
I'm like, wait, what was your question? Ask me a question. I'm like, what? I just went on a tangent.
What got you into?
Oh, what got me into it? So the health issue that I had was, I started having a spasm. It was like a little twitch in my eye. It ended up becoming so bad that my whole entire right side of my face was spasming all the time, uncontrollably.
Oh.
All the time. And I wanted to hide away from the world. I didn't want to be in public. I didn't want to be around anybody. But the reason why that became such a great growing thing for me, and I battled it for like 15 years.
Oh, wow.
It was not something that was,
didn't go away right away.
No, it didn't. But I went on a search, and so I really started digging deep in a lot of things, and I learned things like, my mom was also a spiritual healer or an acupuncturist and healing and stuff, and I tried a lot of different things like that, but I ended up going into hypnotherapy, and that was the only thing that I started noticing a difference. And what I thought was so fascinating about that specifically was that we have these tapes playing in our heads, and they're based off of memories or an experience, and they continue and they actually grow. And you can change that. You can go in and actually create a different perspective. The mind is such a powerful and amazing thing to me. I am fascinated.
I'm thinking about a book that I had read. It's called Who Switched Off My Brain.
Oh, sounds cool.
Yeah, and it basically goes through. She's a a brain surgeon, and she explains how you create memories and the pathways that are created in your mind from childhood. And, you know, like you were saying, you came from the Netherlands. You had told me before you didn't even speak English when you came here. So that was probably one of those traumatic things. But it created a pathway in your brain that probably went straight to fear.
Right. So. Exactly. And the cool thing that I learned in hypnotherapy is you can literally go back to an event when you're, what's the word, in a trance. And, you know, I don't know how a lot of people have issues with that. But, you know,
I'm probably one of those.
Hypnosis is one of those things.
I would not recommend it just personally.
Exactly.
But,
and that's why and I understand that. But for me,
because you're opening your mind up.
Right. And you have to have, you know, a trustworthy person to do that with. You know, like, I do believe anything can be misused.
Yeah.
Right.
But for me, I guess I view things spiritually.
Right.
So there's spiritual things happening that can come in, and how I would see it. Right. When you're opened up like that.
Yeah.
So you got to be really careful, and I'm just saying.
Right. No, but I agree. It was like all of a sudden I started seeing everything differently and started choosing more things in my life instead of, because I'm a pleaser. Yeah. Pleasing everybody else, thinking that that's what I was supposed to do to be a good person. Yeah. And I'm not saying that you don't want to be nurturing or pleasing as a person, but I'm saying if you overdo that and you forget about you,
which women are more apt to be that way.
Right. Yeah. And I think I posted this in the video too, but there's that thing about the oxygen mask. If you're on an airplane and the oxygen mask comes down, you're supposed to put the oxygen mask on yourself first. You can't help anybody if you don't. Right. So that's, you know, but anyway, so I just learned a lot about how we can change things that we used to believe and that no longer maybe serve us anymore. Yeah. And that you can change that perspective and you can create a new life with a belief that suits you better now. You know, I had to make some choices in my life that things didn't fit. I was very numb. I was going through a very difficult time, and I had to make some changes that were very difficult choices. But because of those things, I live a much better, healthier, happier life. A lot more things come to me now that I probably wouldn't have even seen before. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I can tell that the experiences that you're going through in day-to-day life, you're enjoying them. Right. You're in the moment.
Right, and I didn't used to be able to do that. Yeah. You know, even if I was going on a vacation or something, I would be stressed and I couldn't enjoy it. Yeah. Now, when I'm more in the moment, I'm more in the now.
Allow yourself to.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that's a gift. Yeah, absolutely. To be able to do that is a huge gift.
Yeah, especially these days. Yeah. People are
this world
in a hurry. Everything is in a hurry.
Yeah. And the world has changed a lot in the last few years, not just because of the pandemic or anything. Yeah. There's just so much change. Yeah, I guess there's so much more coming out. And social media, like everything, there's so much coming at you, so much information.
I cannot imagine.
No. Can you imagine us growing up in that?
No. I cannot imagine, like, just going back, thinking about being in school. Yeah. And having a cell phone. Right. Or even, like, a lot of us didn't have computers. I don't know, maybe you did. We didn't have a computer in my home.
Didn't have a VHS player. We were like the last family, I felt like, in Woodland or in our town that had a VHS player. We would always rent it. Yeah. You know? And
being able to go to the video store and pick out a movie.
Yeah. That was a gift.
That was fun.
Yeah, it was super fun.
Yeah, it made
it a family event. Yeah. Absolutely. So, I mean, our generation has grown through and learned so much and a lot of great things. But, like just being able to, I grew up on a farm. I feel so blessed that I was able to be in the earth.
Yeah.
And we worked hard, very hard, even as kids. But, you know, just being able to be in nature and enjoy that part of life. And it was so much more simple back then. Now, there's just, like I said, so much information and so much coming at you from all angles. And sometimes you don't even know what to think or what to believe or what, you know, who's right.
Right, yeah.
I don't know. So anyway, I guess getting back to what changed for me, those things, doing a lot of self-discovery is what changed me. And then going through a coaching program also, I really went through that to originally change or help people. But what I really realized is it really just helped me.
Yeah. And
the one-on-one coaching I did some of that, and I really wanted to do that area, but it just didn't fit.
Yeah.
Because I work full-time at our farm too, our family farm still. But I do want to, my goal someday is to be a motivational speaker or something that inspires people, or, you know, be able to have videos that reach out to just even one person.
Yeah.
If it changes their day or helps them in some way, that to me is a win-win.
Yeah. See, so much of what you say is actually found in the Bible. I don't know if you read the Bible or
I did when I was younger, yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. A lot of what you say is in the Bible.
It's probably ingrained in me.
It probably is. But, you know, even talking about, you know, going through the coaching to help other people, but it helped you. Mm-hmm. The Bible actually talks about that.
Isn't that interesting?
And, you know, how can you be a teacher unless what you're teaching helped you first?
Right.
And I'm paraphrasing. Right. But, yeah, just going back to the basics.
Absolutely. If we can use social media as a platform to reach people in that way, that to me is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Because people are, especially during the pandemic, people got very reclusive, or I don't know if that's the right word, but
suicide rates have gone up.
It's just so sad to me. And I think when you're stuck inside, I mean, I saw it with my kids. It was difficult. Yeah. Like, you know, I still kind of had this my world, because we were agriculture, we were considered essential business. And so I was still working and going to work every day. But there's a lot of people that, and I think there was good that came out of that too, for people, because they kind of had to go within and really discover and decide, okay, well, is this what I've been doing all this time
together too?
Yeah, like my husband decided to start his own business.
Yeah.
You know, and so that was a great thing that came out of it. He had been working in construction for years and battling the traffic and all that. Yeah. And now he's got his own business and, you know, building pole barns and stuff. So, yeah. So, you know, there's definitely good things that came out of it. But man, to be, you know, what's the word? I can't think of the word.
There's actually been so many people that never went back to work.
I know.
After. That's what
I don't understand.
I don't understand that either.
Right. I don't know how they're.
Yeah.
That baffles me still.
There's a lot of businesses. Like, if you, pretty much any store you pass now has a help wanted sign. Right. People don't want to. I don't know if they're working from home, or maybe they got used to being at home, or what. But
I'm still pretty baffled at that, because I'm like, if there's that much,
how are they paying their bills?
That's what I know. That's what I think about.
You've done a few videos now. What's your hopes for the channel for in the future? Do you have an idea of where you want it to go, other than helping people? Is there?
I thought about that, because you did kind of ask me that before today, and at first I was like, do I need to have, and not that you put that on me, but I was just like, do I need to have, you know?
No, you don't have to have an answer.
no, but I mean, it was a great question, because it really made me wonder about that. And I think I'm really going to kind of let it evolve, and I don't know where it's going. I mean, there could be, you know, I focus on, my main focus is not just inspiring people, but flowers,
Yeah.
That I just believe there's so much healing and everything with that. And so that, who knows, that could go in a direction. I don't know where it's going to go.
Yeah. I remember this is maybe off topic, but kind of on topic. Everybody already knows I go down rabbit trails. So
I love it.
When I first got on Facebook recommends friends that you went to school with, and Nicolette and I went to middle school together. That was one of the first things. You and I had connected because we were both involved in flowers.
Right.
And I couldn't agree more. Flowers are not even just the flowers, getting your hands in the dirt.
Oh, yeah. That just makes me happy right there.
I know. It's so healing, that time, because you're not staring at a TV. You're not staring at a little box in your hand. You're in your thoughts. You're in the moment.
Right.
You can't help but be in the moment.
Right.
And flowers are beautiful.
Well, they're beautiful. And there's so much texture, and like they're alive.
Yes,
if you bring something that's alive in your space. One of the things I wanted to say too about tulips, I don't know if you know this, but when you put a tulip in a vase, they will grow up to another 2 inches.
Yes, I did know that.
Yes. So the florist, of course, you would know that, because they don't behave. And the reason why I say that is because they do keep growing, and they do put out energy, and they do create. It's not just that they're beautiful; they actually have an energy about them. Because we grow flowers, our family grows flowers, and we ship them all over the United States.
Yeah. Do you want to say the name?
Holland America Flowers.
Yeah.
We have a farm in Woodland, Washington, as well as in California. We grow tulips and peonies up here in Washington, and then
I didn't know you had peonies.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I just didn't know that.
Yeah. So anyway, we grow that up in Washington State, and then we also do some greens like salal up here in Washington. And then down in California, we grow year-round. We grow lilies and snapdragons, ranunculus, and then some other products as well. But
lilies are my favorite. Stargazers.
Really? Okay,
Yes.
yeah. So yes, and so we grow those.
Okay.
I will have to bring in some for you.
Oh.
I have some stuff coming in a couple weeks. So.
Oh.
But anyway, so the cool thing is my dad has always said this, because he's the owner of the farm. My parents, we moved here when I was 7. My parents started a business from scratch, and became very successful.
Yeah.
They made the American dream a reality, literally.
Yeah.
But he always says that even in the times of like difficult times, even in a funeral, you are going to uplift somebody with flowers.
Yeah, that's true.
And, so in any circumstance, flowers add or uplift or make you feel better or make you smile. I don't know about you, but when I have flowers in my house, I find myself, or in my space, I find myself constantly looking at them.
Yes. And she brought me flowers today. You're right. Yeah, you do. You do.
I don't know what it is, but I'm constantly, and maybe it's because I'm a flower person.
Yeah.
But I am constantly, and they change too.
It's one of those classic things. Women love to get flowers. Well, I guess men do too, but it's one of those. And, obviously I'm thinking what's happening on the news right now. The Queen has just passed away, and all of those, just sea of flowers that people are bringing.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
So I did want to say too, so you saw that I went to a show down in California, and it's a floral show for all of basically everybody in the California growers puts them on, and then wholesalers all over the United States will come to it. What I realized at that show is that, I grew up in the industry, and I get to see these flowers and really enjoy them and appreciate them. And that's another reason why I want to share that, is because a lot of people don't see it. Like the mass flowers that were in that hotel, it was incredible.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was, and everything was covered in flowers.
Right. And I don't know if I want to say this out loud, but I do, at some point I was thinking, how cool would it be to have some sort of an event where we have designers and we open it up to the public, and we have massive, wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah, it
would. So I'm thinking
you said
about
the staff was really affected in the hotel.
Yeah, they were like so excited, and they
Yeah.
actually got to take home some of the flowers that were there, which is, so they don't just dump them.
Yeah.
They literally donate all the flowers that were at that show. But I just think, I don't know if you see a lot of that, people from the public enjoying that kind of display.
Yeah, you're right.
So stay tuned for that. We'll see if we can do something with that here in our little town.
That would be fun.
Right.
Try not to make the videos too long.
Right.
But yeah, make sure and go to Nicolette's channel, and that's Nicolette's Inspirations, and follow her on Instagram too, and you can see a lot of the flowers that she's talking about. And she does post a lot of stuff on Instagram that you're not going to see on YouTube too. So don't miss anything, and follow her on both. So thanks for joining us today, and as always, I hope you're having a great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.